everyone. Hope you had a nice weekend. Just wanted to say hi and let you know great job on the cardiovascular system test. The class average in here was 78.1. So excellent job. And this also is like a little bit of a turning point for us because cardiovascular system is the longest system in AP2. We're done with that. So we just have 3 shorter units left. We're 2/3 of the way through, basically. And so I just want to encourage you to, keep it up. We're almost there. So this week in class, week 10 already out of 15 weeks, what I have us doing is continuing with the respiratory system. And because the respiratory system is a short system, it's just one chapter in the book that we're covering, I have us actually finishing the respiratory system this week. But I wanted to do that just so that you could see all the homework questions, and you might not be able to work through everything this week, but the test on respiratory is not until next week. And so by just putting it out this week, I figured, you can deal with this, by using some of next week to go through respiratory too. But basically, this week in class, what we're doing is picking up where we left off last week, which is talking about gas exchange. That's one of the main things that we have to get through this week. And so I made a video, it's this one, exactly how I would cover this in class. Okay, so if you want to watch that, we'll go right along with the notes. Once you talk about gas exchange being, say, oxygen moving from the lungs into the blood and carbon dioxide moving from the blood into the lungs, that's what's known as external respiration. One thing that we're interested in is, well, how is oxygen traveling in the blood? How is carbon dioxide traveling in the blood? And that's another big thing that we're talking about this week. And you can see I have some videos here about how oxygen and carbon dioxide travel in the blood. And then we also talk about control of respiration. And that basically finishes the unit. And so in my mind, there are 5 big topics. I'm going to pull up the notes here. Okay, so taking a look at the notes, I just want to show you how you can mentally organize this into 5 topics. So right off the bat, we have anatomy. That's covered in the lab, and it's pretty straightforward. So we go through the parts from the nose to the nasal cavity, the sinuses, the pharynx, the larynx, the trachea, the bronchial tree. And so we're just kind of moving right down to the alveoli of the lungs. The most important anatomy, I think, the most difficult, I should say, anatomy to learn is understanding the pleura and understanding the microscopic anatomy of the air sacs of the lungs, the alveoli. And I did make a video on each of these, as you can see, the pleura and alveolar cell types and surface tension. And so please take a look at that. Once you know the anatomy, number 2 topic is breathing. How and why does air move in and out of the lungs? So it's a very physical process. It has to do with changing the size of a volume, which then in turn changes the pressure. And gas, just like concentration of particles, gas wants to move from its area of high pressure into its area of low pressure, and it passively does that to move in and out of the lungs. And so all these notes are on inhalation, exhalation. I actually go over the notes in a video here. This is about inhalation, exhalation, and pressure changes that you see. This is technically about that too. I hope you do spirometry in lab, and you can measure, say, the amount of air coming in and out and that kind of stuff. Measure the amount of air additional that you could breathe in or exhale out, how all the air doesn't participate in gas exchange. And then there are some equations, and you should definitely look at these. I will have these on the test ultimately. 3rd big topic. And this is new for this week, gas exchange. I did make a video about gas exchange, and gas exchange is really straightforward once you understand that gas is just going to passively move from the area of high pressure to low pressure, and why it's in a high pressure or low pressure. Also, gas exchange occurs at 2 different levels, between the lungs and the blood, that's external respiration, and between the blood and the tissue, that's internal respiration. And so, as I said, I made a video where I marked this up, and I hope that you take the time to watch that and mark this up with me in the video. So that's the 3rd topic. 4th big topic is, once we know how gas is exchanged, how does it travel in the blood? So here we have transport of oxygen. And I talk about how, oxygen is being transported in the blood. Of course, we want it to bind to hemoglobin, and then we also want it to let go of hemoglobin when necessary. And then how carbon dioxide travels in the blood. And this is sometimes a little bit of, you know, something to learn because there's a little bit of chemistry involved here. But I hope that this makes sense, and I hope you reach out to me if it doesn't make sense. And then, you know, how do we, and this is a summary of respiration. And then the last topic up is, you know, control of respiration. How are we going to speed up breathing rate or slow it down if we needed to? And that's the whole unit. So I put it all out there for us this week. So even if you don't finish everything, remember the test isn't until the end of next week. And so you could always use, you know, the beginning of next week, as I would recommend anyway, to go through all of this information, make sure you have it down. Next week, what I'll add is kind of like an intro to the urinary system. So you'll see that, and I wanted to show you in the study area. You can also use interactive physiology, like I told you last time. If you go to interactive physiology, you're going to see that 4 of our 5 big topics are covered. Okay, so here's the anatomy, pulmonary ventilation, that's breathing, gas exchange, control of respiration, and they just don't have transport of oxygen, carbon dioxide in the interactive physiology, so you might want to use that. And I think that is about it for this week. So please reach out to me, let me know what questions you have, and a great job on cardiovascular. We're getting it done. See you next time.